Landlord says tenants shouldn't complain about rent increases because her mortgage was raised too. I'm actually making less money. Which, by the way, like I don't have necessarily anything against landlords, but like really, really, you gonna be doing something like this? So for many tenants in today's world, rent is getting harder and harder to afford. Higher expenses and inflation are all on the rise, even though minimum wage has yet to budge, and the cost of living is through the roof. But what about the poor landlords with their own mortgages to pay? So, one landlord argued that tenants shouldn't complain about rent increases since her mortgage increased too. She filmed a video of herself explaining that she had raised her tenant's rent by $100 in response to her own mortgage increasing by $111. TikTok's response to her video has been overwhelming. And it's no secret in the current world we live in, landlords are no one's favorite. She sarcastically referred to herself as a greedy landlord and then argued that due to this change in her mortgage, she was now actually losing more money than she made. She argued that the price hike was just her best attempt at trying to stay afloat. Well, one, if you're a landlord, don't spread yourself too thin to where if there's any slight changes, you're not going to be struggling. So, let's actually check this out. Hold on. Is there music to die for? Yeah.
But imagine how tired we.
Yeah. So, when the tenants complain about $100 rent, okay, yeah, it's just basically a quick thing. So, TikTok, however, was having none of it. It must be so hard living my paycheck to my paycheck, one commenter wrote, blaming the landlord for self victimizing herself while relying on another person's income to support her financial endeavors. Another pointed out the hypocrisy of her decision, pointing to her complaint about her own mortgage increasing by $100 annually due to insurance and tax costs. Wait, wait. How are you taking a loss when your mortgage goes up $111 yearly, but your increase the rent $100 per month for your tenant? Another TikTok user agreed with the above comment, pointing out that even if there was an $11 difference between the landlord's mortgage and the tenant's rent, she would still be making a profit. An increase of $100 annually is much less than an increase of $100 monthly. Others have gladly begun to repurpose common millennial jokes suggesting that the landlord buy less avocado toast. So the TikTok user has apparently been unfazed by the controversy and has continued to post updates of her ventures into the world of real estate and home investing. Hilariously enough, the angry commenters have followed her to her other videos, leaving comments like, "Is it $11?" on a video of a rundown house she was considering investing in. Yeah, so let's see some of these comments right here. Fake story. Why would anyone take on a variable rate mortgage on rental property? I don't believe it for a second. I mean, there's some like really weird people out there, so who knows? Let's see. Never owned a property. This is the first sign. My mortgage went up $500 per month. Interest rate increases, tax increases, new fee because municipalities aren't surviving. Yeah. See, the thing is, like, definitely don't ever get a variable mortgage, right? Because even though it might seem good the first month, it could literally just double. I mean, probably not actually double, but like you get the point. Like it could just dramatically increase the point where you're like, wow, I am losing so much money now. Clueless. Let's see. Well, my monthly payment fluctuates based on property tax and insurance fluctuations. Many people just say my mortgage went up when they really mean my property taxes and homeowners insurance went up. My total housing payment went up $700 per month this year, yet my actual mortgage stayed the same. Interesting. I still don't feel sorry for her. And like here's the thing, like I understand people not really feeling sorry for her. The thing is, I don't understand why a landlord would come out on social media and be like, yeah, you renters out there, stop complaining about the increase in your rent because I gotta pay more too. But she's using the renter's income to pay her increase. So, how is she really complaining about that? Like, that just seems kind of like weird, right? It's basically like a business telling customers like, "Hey, stop complaining the like $1 increase in your Coca-Cola drink or something, right? It increased by $1, but I also got to pay an increase of another dollar. So, in reality, basically nothing's changed, really, right? Because the landlord has to pay that fee, but they use the customer slash renter to pay that fee. So there's basically no difference towards the landlord, but there is a difference technically by what the renter is actually paying or the customer is paying, right? If you're selling like a product or whatever and it just increased by like $1, it's like it's still passed on to the bottom person, which sucks, right? Because that could dramatically affect your budget every single month because it's just something that you're probably not expecting. So, like, I don't understand why a landlord would do this. I think it's kind of stupid for the landlord to do this. Like, why? It seems like pretty weird. But I think she has a TikTok, right? So, this is her TikTok. So, your investor broker, real estate agent and investor. Let's see. Okay, so weird music. So to the man who paid me $3,900 to rent my master bedroom for 3 months, just 24 hours after I got the keys to my first house. You're the cleanest, most quiet and caring guy and the best tenant I've ever had. Hope that you and your new family are doing well. You made my first time as a 25-year-old landlord so easy. I don't deserve you. You deserve the road. That kind of sounds like the greatest first boyfriend ever or something. Weird. Interesting. So someone working minimum wage in Seattle wouldn't be able to afford this even if they spent every dollar they made on rent.
52 weeks a year. Even if you're living in the...
Hold on, let me go over here.
I'm actually curious. Let's see if that's true. Let's go 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. Even if you're living in the middle of nowhere, if you're in Washington, you're making at least $15.74. About half your money would have to go to rent. I'm actually curious.
Point of view. You find out everyone on the internet hates landlords, but the haters got your first TikTok over 1 million views, so you go out to dinner to celebrate. Which is funny. On TikTok, I got a video that went over 1 million views and is still getting like crazy amounts of traction for like a point of view TikTok of another TikTok of someone spending crazy amounts of money on a wedding on credit cards. Like, it's crazy. Let's see. Okay, so when the tenants complain about $100 rent raised, but my mortgage went up 111, blah 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 blah. So I'm actually making less, not more money. Wow, yeah, that must be so exhausting. Okay, must be exhausting. Try buying less avocado. This didn't land how you thought it would, huh? Living paycheck to paycheck on another person who is also living paycheck to paycheck, and this cycle repeats. Wow. Crazy. Oh, hush. So, despite the fact that you take all the benefit, you've given your tenant 90% of the cost raise. Pretty interesting. Let's see. Get a real job, loser. Have you tried getting a job? Maybe get a real job. Get a real job. Sounds like you should get a job. Get a real job. Me, when I don't have a real job, get a real job. You can't always rely on investments. It's a risk. You should get a real job. Interesting. I have a 9 to 5 job too. And again, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with like landlords because they provide a service by offering a place for people to call themselves their home, like their home, right? They're renting a place, right? The thing is, it should be like made pretty clear to the tenant beforehand, like, hey, for like this lease that you signed up for, this is what you're paying. There won't be any increases during this time, but at the end of the lease, due to market changes, it might increase. It may increase, right? I don't know how much, but it might increase. If you make it very clear to them, it shouldn't be any issue because you're being honest and upfront to them like, hey, this is what you signed up for with your lease. That's what you're paying for per month for this lease that you signed up for. As soon as it ends, it might increase. And I'll let you know, like maybe like a month before it ends or 2 months before it ends, so that you know that like if you can't afford the increase, then maybe you got to find someplace else. Just to be like you could just be like a decent human being, and be like, okay, well, I mean, we had an agreement for this lease. That's what you're paying for, and then it'll raise due to market changes. Crazy.